Welcome to the fourth episode of the Eat, Sleep, Stream podcast. My name is Gus, aka Bruin, to the people who know me. And today we have a very special podcast for me because this is a little different streamer than what we've had on the show before. And we have Time for a Meeting on. How you doing today, Time?
I'm doing good. I think that's the first time I've been referred to as special in a good way. I'm doing good though, my man.
All right. Well, to the people who don't know you or what you stream, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Absolutely. I'm Time for a Meeting. I hope that clap wasn't too loud for anybody. But I am a creative streamer. I do knife making. So this is the stuff that I work on. These are some of my current projects right now. But I stream blacksmithing. I'm a knife maker by trade. Let me think. I do some gaming streams just here and there. Every now and then you need a break from the blacksmith shop. It gets kind of hot some days and the back starts to bother you. So I do some gaming stuff just kind of thrown in every now and then too.
All right. And how did you get the name Time for a Meeting?
Okay. So I went through, I was a student at a nonprofit when I was 19 years old. And we used to deep clean the lodge where we lived at every Wednesday. And I was in charge of cleaning the kitchen. And so we had this big jar of habaneros in the kitchen down there. And whenever we do the deep clean, I'd ring this little bell and I'd start screaming that it's time for a meeting. And everybody would join together and we would all eat one of the habaneros. So when I first started off as a YouTuber. I was a YouTuber for about 2 years before I made the move to Twitch.
Okay.
And when I first started, the first real show that I did on my channel was I would eat ghost peppers, habaneros, stuff like that. And I would try to read a book. So I'd read like a chapter of Twilight. I read Shakespeare. And so that's where the name kind of came from, was that pepper and tying it back to my time at the nonprofit. So that's kind of where the name comes from.
Yeah, really interesting backstory. I don't think anybody could guess it from.
It's kind of an intense backstory.
Yeah.
Most people don't know where it comes from. I did a video on it about YouTube like 2 years ago now at this point. So.
And I didn't know you did YouTube either.
Yeah, I don't really do it anymore. Twitch kind of takes up all my time at this point when it comes to this sort of stuff.
And so, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know what it is, but for people who don't know blacksmithing, can you explain it a little bit? And then also how you got into it?
Yeah. So I got into it actually through the nonprofit that I went through. We did woodworking, blacksmithing, leatherworking. I'm actually wearing their hat today, actually. But so it was part of the program for me. And I actually ended up staying on staff for about a year teaching blacksmithing. I actually went to college for 2 years studying fine arts with a concentration in blacksmithing. And then my professor came to me one day and was like, you could just drop out and do this on your own and actually make money while you do it instead of paying me thousands of dollars. And I was like, sounds like a good idea, Chief. I was like, I like that idea more. So that's kind of how I got into it. And as far as like what blacksmithing is, you take a raw piece of steel, you heat it up really, really hot, and you take a hammer and you smack it a bunch. That's a blacksmithing for you. It's pretty simple. It's complex, but simple all at the same time.
So pretty much you make it and then you sell it on your own? Do you have like a store or anything?
So right now, most of my clients come through my Twitch, actually. The last 4 knives that I've sold have all come through Twitch. But like I've got a buddy of mine, he ordered this knife. And so a lot of it'll just like this initially started off as just a lump of steel. It was probably about that wide and just hammering it down into shape. And then I have a big old grinder that I use to kind of clean everything up and get everything flat and true.
All right. Well, I'll give you a chance at the end to plug everything, but might as well plug that right now if you have a chance.
Yeah. If anybody wants a knife, feel free to reach out to me either on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. Instagram is just Time for a Meeting. Twitter is Time for a Meeting without the G. There's no G at the end of my Twitter because it was already taken, and it makes me so angry because that account hasn't been used in like 4 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so like I'm stuck with Time for a Meeting, which I'm a redneck, so that's how I say it anyway. It's Time for a Meeting.
Oh, so well, at least it kind of works.
Yeah, it works out.
And how long have you been streaming? You also did YouTube too. So how long
Yeah.
were you on YouTube, and then how long
Um,
did you like transfer into Twitch?
I was on YouTube for 2 years, roughly, regularly doing it. And then I've been streaming. I was an off and on streamer back when I was a YouTuber. I would do it every now and then I started blacksmith streaming back in March, somewhere around there of last year, and then started like regularly everyday streaming in June
Okay.
of 2018. So I'm still relatively new to like doing it regularly.
Yeah. And how did you hear about Twitch?
Um, Obviously, being in YouTube, you kind of hear about like competitors to it because
Mhm,
I used YouTube streaming service for a long time. That's how I first started streaming.
mhm,
And I just kind of started looking into other branches to do um, the streams through because Twitch or YouTube just wasn't really working. I just wasn't seeing any growth. And so eventually, um, it wasn't like somebody told me about it or anything. I just kind of stumbled across it,
mhm,
and then met a couple streamers that I got to be really close with, and eventually just kind of decided, you know what, I'm just going to start doing this myself again.
mhm.
So,
And I know we kind of met through, which is pretty much everybody who's been on the podcast has met
Smitty,
in this way. Yeah, through Smitty.
yep,
How did you find him?
yeah. So I found Smitty through Sarah, another Sarah.
Mhm,
Um, I was just scrolling through Fortnite streamers one day because I was bored, and my friend wasn't the person that got me really into Twitch wasn't streaming that
mhm,
day, and so I was just looking for somebody to watch. Found Sarah, clicked on hers, liked the community, liked her as a person, and so from there it went Sarah, and then meet Smitty. Start watching Smitty, meet you, meet Firefox, meet Coast, meet
yeah.
everyone basically right now.
Yeah, pretty much everybody you mentioned has either been on the podcast or wants to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I actually found Smitty the same exact way.
Did
When I
you?
first started watching streams, I was watching like the bigger name like Fortnite streamers,
Hmm.
and then one day I was just like, I'm gonna scroll just let my cursor just scroll
Just
as much.
scroll down.
Yeah, just flick it and just let it go. And yeah, I found Sarah's stream too, and I think they were playing Realm Royale, so
Mhm.
with Spidey and Smitty,
Yep.
and then from there, yeah, I just got to know everybody else. Really nice people, and
Dude, they are.
uh,
There's some great people.
yeah. And how do you feel about that with Twitch? Because I mean, there's two sides to it. I feel like there's the really nice people that you meet, like you, Smitty, like everybody like that. But then you also, which for me it hasn't been too prevalent, but there's obviously the trolls that come in that just want to come in and start something, or even just be like, oh, well, you want to follow me or stuff like
Yeah.
that. Um, what's your take on, like, have you had that happen to you a lot, or pretty much what's your view on the community?
Yeah. Obviously, because I'm a creative streamer, I have a little bit of a different interaction with people than what like Sarah or Smitty or yourself get
Mhm,
with more of the gaming style stuff. I was talking with my mods about this the other day because I really only have like two mods that moderate 10 to 15 people.
mhm,
Um, and I was talking about it and I was like, I don't really need any other mods because, like, in the creative side of things, the majority of the people that I get drop by either have some sort of interest in what I'm doing, they know me from the past, or they want to learn something.
mhm,
So when I'm doing those streams, I really haven't had many trolls. Obviously,
mhm.
you get the person that follows with the racist name, and you're just like, not saying that.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I really haven't had many issues with it. But coming as initially when I first started watching Twitch, I was just a moderator for a streamer. I wasn't a streamer myself yet,
Mhm,
and she was a female streamer gamer, and that one was a lot more. We did have a lot more trolls
yeah,
in her community, but so I think for the most part, the community is great. Um, the community is kind of what first attracted me to Twitch.
mhm,
With doing YouTube videos, I was doing videos of my knife making, but there wasn't ever any interaction. You'd get a couple comments here and there, but it's hard to kind of talk and teach through that.
yeah,
And so that's really where like I fell in love with Twitch was I've met some of my closest friends
mhm,
through different streamers, people like Smitty, Sarah, Sweetheart Star, who I used to mod for. Um, so like the community for me has always been really good, and every now and then you get a bad apple and you get to slap them with a band hammer and it
Yeah.
feels good. It's always nice when you get to pull that sword out and you're just like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, well, that's good that you get that. I know you mentioned like trying to balance what you're doing as well as teaching. Have you ever done like an instructional stream, I guess, to where it's like you're kind of talking through what you're doing?
Yeah, I technically, my stream falls under like the educational. I'm part of
Oh,
like a
okay.
not. It's called the Knowledge Fellowship. I'm part of like a group of streamers who try to be educational.
Okay.
Um, so I don't. I'll break down what I'm doing a lot of times,
Mhm.
but typically I'll just be like, if you have any questions about what I'm doing, like feel free to let me know. One of my moderators is a knife maker as well, and so she's able to answer a lot of questions for
Oh, that's
people. So
good.
like, I'll be working on something and I'll see somebody will ask, "Why are you doing, the knife? Why do you hold it like this when you grind your bevels? Why do you hold it upside down, basically?"
Mhm.
And I get to answer that question of, I need to be able to see my thickness that runs along this edge so I know I don't get too thin, I'm not too thick. And so I don't I've done some teaching, but I try to
Mhm.
do more of like ask me your questions. I've got a blackboard in my shop that I'll like sit down and start drawing stuff out if people really want me to go in depth.
Mhm.
So
All right. And I know you mentioned, well, obviously you mainly do blacksmithing, but with video games, were you ever like really hooked on them as a kid? That's why you kind of got into it, or no?
no, let me think. I had the only gaming system I had growing up was an N64,
Mhm.
and I had that until 2009.
Oh wow.
That was the only thing that I had until 2009. My best friend from high school, he had 2 PlayStations, and so he just gave me one of his. And so then I had a PlayStation 2. And the PlayStation 2 was the only thing I had up until about 2014 when I bought a PlayStation 4. So, like, I didn't really grow up playing video games,
Mhm.
um, but I've always, like, been drawn to it, especially being a competitive person. I played football, soccer, lacrosse, track. Being a competitive person, and as I've gotten older, physically, I'm an old, deteriorated man. My
Okay.
my chat my chat will tell you all the time. You will hear me complain about my knees and my back and my ankles nonstop because I am just falling apart. But having that competitive outlet of video games, especially as someone who's had that his whole life, like that's kind of what drew me into the video game aspect of it,
Mhm.
was still getting that output or that outlet.
And I guess going back into streaming, do you? Well, I don't know if they're still there, but do you remember the first person that was in your streams?
So by the time I had actually started streaming, I had built up a community
Hmm.
in my I talked about it earlier, Sweetheart Star, the person I used to
Yeah.
mod for. I had built up a community in her stream already of like close friends. And so that was really like my first viewing audience. Um, if you watch my stream now, I can tell you the sixth person to follow my stream was in Spiritly. She's still around to this day. She followed me before I actually really started streaming, even
Oh
back when
wow.
it was just like a sporadic every now and then. Um, so she's been one of the ones that's been there from the start. Demon Akikiel, I call her Pup in my stream. She's my mod now.
Mhm.
She's a knife maker as well, and she's been there since basically I started doing it every single day. Since even before that a little bit. But those are Sweetheart Star, Atlas, and that crew, and then
Mhm.
Spirit and Pup are like the 4 people that were there at the beginning when I first started and have been there like ever since.
All right. And I guess going back into real life time for a meeting, what do your in real life friends and family uh think about what you do with Twitch?
Obviously, the gaming, the parents aren't as excited when I, play video games for 8 hours straight. But the chance to share my knowledge with knife making, I've taught classes here, and so I think for them, that part of it, they're definitely okay with it, and they definitely it's not something I really talk about a whole lot with my friends,
Mhm.
um, but they all know that I do it, and they know that like I work my butt off for it, and it's something that I'm passionate about. And so they're all supportive of it.
That's good. For me, I'm a pretty shy guy, and when I first started watching streaming, like, well, I mean, no one really knew I was watching streaming, and then when I started streaming, no one knew for a while, and until pretty much just recently, like, I made it aware to friends, family, everybody, and I don't know why for me, I was so nervous about it because it's more. I mean, at the end of the day, you like doing what you're doing and you're doing it. I'm doing
Yeah,
the same thing. Towards like, what can anybody really knock us for?
exactly. And like you said, like I'm kind of similar in that way where I'm kind of shy about it.
Mhm,
Like I think really the only person in my family who's ever really watched my streams is my little brother.
mhm,
My little sister comes around or my older sister. My older
mhm,
sister comes around every now and then, but like I don't really talk about it a whole lot. Like
mhm,
I'm similar to you where I'm kind of shy about it, and I don't really know why.
mhm. Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like for me at least, I was afraid of what people would think,
Hmm.
and then I don't know what it was in my life, but I was just like, I don't care what people think. Like if it's like if it's a negative thing, but
Right.
yeah, but if it's positive, obviously, that's really good, and that's what I've found with the people who found out about what I'm doing,
Yeah.
and so then I realized, okay, well then I'd have good friends then.
Yeah. I mean, you know what they say? You just got to dab on the haters, right?
Exactly.
Just I'm so sorry, everyone, that I just dabbed.
Smitty will like that.
I did it just for you, Smitty.
So we mentioned streaming, how it's something we like doing.
Hmm.
Does streaming ever take a toll on you mentally, physically? And if it does, what do you do to help yourself with that? And or maybe streaming does help you.
Yeah. Streaming definitely does help, but you can also see it hurt at times. Part of it is like the feeling that you always have to be positive and upbeat on stream.
Mhm.
You can't have a down day.
Yeah.
You can't have a day where you're just like, dude, I feel like trash.
Mhm.
Like this is the last thing I want to do is to get online and talk to people and act like I'm excited to see them.
Yeah.
And so, like for me, one of the biggest ways that I combat it for myself is just reminding myself that I'm very lucky to be in that position. I'm very lucky to be able to interact with these people that 99% of them I will never meet in person.
Yeah.
99% of people in my stream, this is the only interaction I have with them is right here. And so like reminding myself of that and then just making sure that like I take time away from stream as well. Because that's what got me on YouTube was I did it day in and day out for 2 years.
Mhm.
And that takes a toll mentally of where you're just constantly on camera and you're constantly just forcing this,
Yeah.
you know. And then as well just being real with my stream. Like I don't hide who I am anymore where I used to do that on YouTube, making sure that like I don't hide the fact that I'm having a bad day,
Mhm.
because if my chat really cares about me, then they're there for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times, like, when I'm having a bad day, I wear my emotions on my sleeve and my chat knows.
Mhm.
And so they'll start, like, my hands will start shaking really bad in the blacksmith shop
Mhm.
if I'm just really stressed out about something. And I've got 2 or 3 people in my chat that'll just start texting me. And they're like, hey, like, take a deep breath. We love you. Calm down. You got this. And it's just like having those people around helps a lot.
And in those situations, do you ever maybe just be like, "Hey, stream, sorry, but you gotta cut it short."
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll either do that and I'll be like, hey, like, I'm not up to this today. I'm sorry. I love you guys, but I gotta go.
Mhm.
I've done that before, but I've also like just kind of stepped away. I've been known to just walk away from the stream and not say a word, just like disappear for a couple minutes.
Mhm.
Or, for me, it'll be something like if I'm in the shop working and I'm just getting stressed out. I had one day where I broke a handle, like completely just shattered it. And like I was full on panic mode. And my chat was like, stop what you're doing, put it down, go upstairs and play video games. And so I ended one stream, went upstairs to my computer, started OBS stream, and I just streamed myself playing video games. And so for me, a lot of times that's what it takes is that change of scenery.
Mhm.
And then knowing that those people care enough about me to say, yes, we love your stream. We love watching it, but we care about you first and foremost.
Mhm. That's something really great to hear because, I mean, when you're watching people stream or anything, I feel like again, like not always, and it doesn't seem like you have it either, but you always get those trolls, those people who are, you know, who are
Hmm.
the complete opposite of that. And
Yeah.
usually you see nice people, but for people to go out of their way to make sure you're okay in those situations, that's something that's just really positive, really great.
Now, before I sound like I'm too nice to my chat, they are the ones who trigger me half the time. They are trolls to the extreme, but they're trolls who care. And I
Mhm.
will say that about them.
All right.
They're the
That's a good
ones
way
who
to put
make
it.
me, yeah, they're the ones who make me angry half the time. And I'm like, all right, chat, you've been making fun of me for 3 hours straight. Listen here. I will end this stream right now and go home.
Well, on the more, or another question I have in relating to streaming, I guess, and I guess dealing with chat, what has been the worst part for you with streaming, and what has been maybe the best part of or the best moment in your streaming career?
Oh, goodness. The best moment in my streaming career. Worst moment. Goodness. Asking the hard questions now. Um, Worst moment is probably like a collection of them. It's when you see that person that you like had been around for a long time and you kind of lose that viewer for
Hmm.
whatever reason it might be. When you see that person who's just not around anymore,
Hmm.
that's always a hard one. You know, like I've got a buddy of mine and like he's still around when he can be, but unfortunately my stream schedule changed and he lives in Sweden, so he can't watch anymore. And so it's always hard for me, like not having him around anymore. But when he gets to be there, that's always like an exciting moment.
Yeah.
Um, so that's probably the hardest is when you lose that viewer that you like grown to care about for one reason or another. Something happens and they're just not able to be there anymore.
Hmm.
Um, Best moment. Oh, best moment so far is probably, man, that's too hard to tell.
Or
Like
like one instance that comes to your mind of, oh yeah, that was a good day for streaming, or that moment.
I think my favorite moment on stream that I've had probably ever was I've got Vivbot in my chat and she's got that trivia command.
Mhm.
And my little brother came down into my shop and he and I just played trivia with my chat for like an hour and a half.
Oh,
And it was
that's
just
great.
so much fun, like getting to sit there with my little brother and
Mhm.
share something that I'm passionate about with him.
Mhm. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it was obviously completely random, right? Like,
Yeah, no, like I texted him. He had gotten his hair cut. He used to
mhm.
have, so I've got decently long hair. His hair was even longer than mine.
Oh,
And he had gotten his haircut. And so my chat was like, we want to see the haircut. And so I texted him and I was like, yo, get downstairs. They all want to see it. And so he came down and then he ended up just pulling up a chair and we just sat there and like he and I get to banter back and forth. We get to talk with chat together, answer trivia questions. It was just a lot of fun.
that's cool. That's cool. Being able, I don't, I live on my own, and my family lives like 2 hours from me, and then another lives like one of my sisters lives like an hour from me. Um, but it's always cool with the unexpected, you know, little stuff that happens in your stream, because I feel like
Yeah.
you mentioned, that's where the good stuff comes out. Yeah. How do you feel streaming has changed who you are? I know you mentioned, like I mentioned, kind of shy. Um, yeah, but how has it changed you?
Yeah. And this does go all the way back to YouTube for me, where Time for a Meeting is a personality that Logan Crawford puts on. And over time, I've felt myself become more of Time for a Meeting. And that's what I've always wanted. Time for a Meeting is that more outgoing personality.
Mhm.
And so I think that's really where the change has come for me of where I've become, I'm still that shy person, but I become more of that confident in my own abilities, in my own personality. And I think that's probably where the biggest change for me has come from through streaming and YouTube and everything else of like, I've become more of the person that I always wanted to be.
That's really good. And well, sorry, that was just something that for me was really positive to hear too. Because yeah, I mean, I feel like streaming, at least with the stuff that I'm doing this podcast, like, oh, another reason why I don't think I've mentioned to you, I don't know, but why I did this podcast is because, like I told, like I live by myself to where Monday through Friday I work I guess a 9 to 5 type job. I come off, and then I pretty much just chill at home because I'm
Mhm.
like too tired to do anything else.
Yeah.
And then when I started streaming, I would do that. But I obviously, like you kind of, you said you had a community before you got
Mhm.
into it. Same with me. But for me, it's like I wanted to get to know people more. Like
Yeah.
I've seen you from being in chats and then your streams here and there. But with the way my schedule is too, seeing people stream sometimes, I completely miss them because we're just completely off times.
Yeah. You just miss
Yeah.
it some days.
Yeah, and like there's some people that I used to watch a lot to where I don't watch at all because
Mhm.
for that reason. But it's like I mean, I still would want to see them. I still want to interact with them. So it's
I
not
said,
much, but it gives a little bit of time here and there. And then, yeah, like already it's only been like what 20, almost 30 minutes that I've been talking with you, and I've learned so much more than I've known.
yeah.
Um,
But yeah, kind of like what you were saying there. Like that's how it is for me and Smitty. Like we stream at the same time.
mhm,
Like our streams overlap, so we're not really able to watch each other.
mhm.
But there have been days where I've had entire conversations with Smitty in each other's streams, where I'll have like his stream pulled up, but I can't really watch or chat with him.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden he'll pop into my stream and he'll start typing in mine. So I pop over into his, and he and I'll have like complete conversations like that.
Yeah, and that's how
And
you
that's
know people are so like just good people because there's been times where that's happened with me, and in my head I'm thinking like, wait a minute, aren't you streaming right now? Like,
yeah.
focus on what you're doing. Like, we could talk after, you know?
yeah. But it's always nice, to know
Yeah,
one that the support is there.
yeah,
Like Smitty knows he has my view and I know I have his, you know. And so it's nice to have that like confidence with the people that you care about that we support each other.
hmm
You know, when I first started doing YouTube, my parents were always like, it's really, really difficult to make it in that. It's really, really difficult, because there is so much competition.
hmm
And the way I've always looked at it, it's not about me versus you. I'm
hmm
not in a race versus you for views. We can share that, you
hmm
know, like partially because my views don't really overlap with yours as a blacksmith versus,
hmm
but even if we did, like, there's plenty to go around. And at the end of the day, like, it's more about the communities that you build, and that
yeah,
can overlap with others. That doesn't
hmm
make it a competition.
yeah,
You know, as I grow, I want to see you grow.
hmm
As you grow, I want to see Smitty grow.
hmm
It's not about me versus you. It's about how do we do this all together?
exactly.
And that's why I was really excited to see you do the podcast. That's why I was excited to get on it.
hmm
Is like, this isn't about just you trying to grow you.
hmm
This is about you and getting to know me, getting to know Fire, getting to know Smitty. And
hmm
it's that opportunity to say it's not about just me on here. It's about us.
Exactly,
So
and that like with building the communities because uh like I guess we'll call it the Smitty community, but like we know a lot of the same people from there, but there's
mhm,
also streamers that I watch that you don't know, to where I hope to have them on to where people like you, people who don't know them, could maybe start watching them. And
yeah.
one of the reasons why too, it's we wouldn't I wanted to do this mainly to get to know people for myself, but also for people, like you just said, for people to get to know one another.
Mhm,
Because a lot of times, if you see people streaming, you might think of like, it just so happens that a lot of people I follow are Fortnite streamers, but I don't watch them because they stream Fortnite. I watch them for them.
yep.
They could stream whatever it is, like like live streaming, like going out walking around, like they could stream that, but I watch them for who they are as a person.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's where people fall in love with people, for the sense of I want to keep watching their streams, to where this is just another outlet, hopefully, for people to be like, for the people who don't know you right now listening, a chance to get to know you on a more personal level, and then hopefully end up watching your stream and
Yeah,
getting in there.
absolutely. So yeah, with streaming, it's so much more about the person behind the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, especially, like, yeah, I first started watching, my first streamer that I really watched was Sweetheart Star. I started watching her because I was a Rainbow Six Siege player, and that's what she streamed. Now, though, I will watch her play anything because I love her as a person. She
Mm-hmm.
is one of my closest friends, and like, I don't care what she's doing. I'm going to be there to support her.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really so much of what Twitch offers to streamers, to communities, to viewers, that like, yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna ask just two more stream related questions, and then afterwards, I kind of want to get to know more of the in real life time for a meeting in regards to just like random,
Yeah.
questions. But what are this is your kind of drop for other streamers I might not know of or people might not know of. What are three streamers that you watch? What do they stream? And I guess kind of like get to plug them a little bit.
Yeah. So you've heard me mention her several times, twitch.tv/sweetheartstar. She's been taking a little bit of a break. Hopefully she'll come back here soon. She's mostly a Siege streamer, but we've played a variety of different games together. So yeah, probably my favorite person on Twitch that I've met. So she's one of them. X Novak X is another that I've gotten to know pretty well over the year and a half now that I've been on Twitch. And then everybody here probably already knows Smitty because you've watched the first episode and you got to know him. But if you haven't checked him out, what are you doing? Go do it right now. Go do it.
All right. Because I know we were on the topic of, getting other people, getting to know each other. And like I mentioned, I don't know who you watch. I mean, now I do.
Yeah.
For a little bit. But just some more people to go watch and follow.
Absolutely.
And then my last kind of related to streaming question, but what is one thing that you want to, I guess, let people know about yourself as a whole or your streams, or a message you want to get across in your life or what you do?
Message for my stream would probably be learn something today. Like, better yourself. And like I talked about this earlier with like the educational aspect of my stream. Of my chat knows this. I'm constantly listening. I don't have them on me right now. Oh, my headphones are charging. But like I'm constantly listening to audiobooks over like Cosmos by Carl Sagan, history books, like thrillers. Like I'm constantly listening to something, trying to learn something, trying to be better. And that's why I do my stream, is because I want you to come in and say, hey, meeting, why are you doing this? Well, I do it because of this. I want to be able to help people just better themselves and learn something. So that's kind of like my driving force of my stream is let's learn.
Well, now again, wanting to get to know you on a more personal level.
Let's get deep. Let's get deep with it.
Oh, I was just gonna ask you like random songs, but
hey, that's okay. We can do that too.
All right. First question in relation to this: what other hobbies do you do outside of blacksmithing and streaming, if you have any?
Yeah, blacksmithing was my hobby, and then I made it my career. So
that's good.
I'll say it was just something I did on the side, and at this point, I'm pursuing it full force to make it into a career. So, yeah, my hobbies consist of make knives, play video games.
All right. And current song on repeat?
Aaron Watson, Run Wild Horses.
All right.
Small country artist, not a whole lot of people know him.
Well, hopefully more people do now.
Get him that plug.
I know you mentioned you played a couple different sports. What's your favorite sport to play?
I loved football, and I loved lacrosse. Those are probably my two all-time favorite that I played. I enjoyed soccer. I enjoyed track, but football and lacrosse are hard to beat for me.
All right. And what about, do you watch any sports or?
I mean, I'm watching the Super Bowl tonight.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Go
yeah.
anybody but the Patriots.
So for the people who are listening, this is actually, I believe, 2 weeks after the Super Bowl. Only because
Will it be 2 weeks live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, okay. Who I don't know if you mentioned it when I just talked right now, but who you rooted for?
Anybody but the Patriots. I will cheer for anybody outside of them.
All right. And what is? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
What is one of your favorite movies, and what is just a last good movie that you saw?
Logan, the Wolverine movie.
That's one of your favorite movies?
Quite possibly my favorite movie of all time. Not just because Wolverine and I share the same name, though. It was a fantastic movie, though. I absolutely loved it.
It's actually funny you said that, because that was I don't know if it was his favorite, but we were mentioning Marvel DC movies, and he said that was his favorite superhero movie.
Who?
Coast.
Okay. I'll say I just started the Firefox episode right before you called me, so I haven't had a chance to finish that one yet.
Oh yeah, no problem.
But last good movie that I saw, I went and saw Aquaman not too long ago. It's a fun movie. It's not one of those movies that's like groundbreaking, but visually, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's a fun movie, and that for me is really like, if I can have fun watching your movie, I don't care if like it's super well written or anything. Like, just let me enjoy it.
Yeah, and I actually just saw Aquaman, like I think like 2 weeks ago too.
What did you think?
Same. Like, story was kind of.
It's not groundbreaking, but
yeah, like, to be honest, it's the same story as Black Panther. I don't know if you saw Black Panther.
Yeah.
So on that end, it was like whatever. But I did see, I'm very into comics to where I like seeing these superheroes for the first time. Like Black Manta was in it. Like, I wanted to see how they.
That was cool. Yeah.
And then it looks like, well, spoiler, he might be heavy in the second one, but yeah, like seeing certain things come to life, like certain characters, and this is not a spoiler, it's in the trailer, but you see Aquaman with the full on like
the full outfit.
Yeah, the full outfit.
That was good.
Yeah, and like if you think about it, like when I first saw Aquaman, it's like, okay, I hope they don't make like his suit like cheesy, but it ended up being pretty good, I think.
I mean, you can put Jason Momoa in any outfit though, and it's gonna look good. Like, it's Jason Momoa. Like, the dude's just like, okay, stop. You make me feel bad about myself.
And then the dude is so, because like it's like, okay, obviously he's a decent looking dude, buff dude, but it's like he's so funny, and
dude, he is. I love
he's
it.
Like such a good actor. Like, it's hard not to like him.
Exactly. It's similar to like the Chris Pratt effect.
Yeah,
where he's just like
exactly.
Great, like from everything you see about him, just a great dude, and it's like it's hard not to like whatever he does.
Yeah, like if you don't like a certain movie he was in, but it's like you still like him in the movie.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, I love talking about movies. Sounds like do you?
I do. I enjoy talking about movies. Don't get me started on The Last Jedi. I despise that movie with a passion.
I have so many people who think the same thing. Like, I don't think it was a great movie either, but it's kind of like the same way like you talked about Aquaman. Like, hey,
you had fun with it.
Yeah, and I always have fun with those movies that are like, bringing back Star Wars again, and like, well, I mean, I was a kid, but when I was younger, I liked watching the episode 1 through 3. Watching certain parts of those episodes now, it's not that great.
They're terrible, but they were fun growing up.
Yeah, like you just like, I just remember as a kid, in episode 1, what would you call it? Like the racing scene?
Oh, the pod racer?
The pod racers, yeah.
That was a fun scene.
Yeah.
You can't take away, the movie was trash, yes.
Yeah.
But that scene was fun. But the fight between Qui-Gon Jinn and Darth Maul was fantastic. Yeah. It was amazing score, amazing fight scene, heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
I still cry to this day.
And you know what was a really good fight scene too? The episode 3, the Obi-Wan and
versus Anakin
at the end. Yeah. Well, on that topic, what is one of the best fight scenes in a movie?
Captain America Winter Soldier. Captain fights the Winter Soldier hand-to-hand combat on the overpass.
Oh yeah.
By far one of my favorite. Just the way they filmed it, the combat was just extremely well done, and I've always loved that scene. And then another one, going back to Logan, anytime Wolverine just goes absolutely ham.
Yeah.
Anytime they let Hugh Jackman off the leash and say, murder everyone, and he
Yeah.
gets to do it. I love that.
I think one of my favorite scenes in Logan, in terms of, I guess, it was fighting, but okay, this, I guess, kind of spoilers to the people who haven't watched it, but it's been like
The
3
movie's been
years.
out for like, yeah.
Yeah. The scene where it's like in slow motion and he's fighting through and he's like killing people, but they can't do anything because they're just like frozen. And he just like stabs people through the head, and it's like they see it coming, but they just can't do anything.
Yep.
Like that scene was crazy.
And that's one of the reasons why I love that movie, because it was the first time that we have really seen Wolverine as Wolverine.
Yeah.
Every other time it's been a PG-13 rating.
Mhm.
And so you have to kind of tone down who this character is.
Yeah.
In reality, in the comics, he was ripping people's heads off. Like,
Yeah.
that's Wolverine. And that was the first time we ever got to see that really fully realized.
Yeah. And I think I'm kind of repeating a story from the last podcast, but you haven't heard it. I watched Logan with a buddy of mine and his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's super into comics like I am, and he's just into movies. Like he's not really into the comics. And then when the movie ended, me and his girlfriend were like, "This was amazing. This was like probably one of the best Wolverine adaptations for sure
Ever."
And he was like, "I didn't like it." And we were like, "Okay, you got to be more specific. Like, what didn't you like?" And he said, "Well, I wanted, like, because Logan is him older. And so there were good fight scenes, but obviously he's not going to be jumping out of helicopters and stuff."
Right.
And that's what he wanted to see, like a lot more action and that intensity. But if you knew what Logan, the story was, you would understand.
Yeah, if you know the old man Logan storyline.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you know a lot about comics too, right?
I don't read a ton of comics. I've got a couple that I've read. I'm more just a vast library of useless information that gets stored in my head, and just like I can regurgitate just the stupidest things, and it's like, why do you know that? I have no idea.
I know, like I know a lot about. I think movies is one of like the best mediums because it's just like you go into it, and it's just something like every Thursday I try to go to the theaters and watch a movie, and it's like just 2 hours of nothing could really bother you. It's just whatever's going on in your day, you just forget about.
Yeah.
And it's just, you get, a little takeaway. But I love movies so much. I remember when I was younger, this is probably in like 5th grade, but within a year before and after, I can tell you, if you tell me a movie, I could have told you when it's coming out, who's in it, and what it's about. Like, I knew the date specifically. Like I remember now it's like blanking out, but I remember one movie I knew was, remember the movie Dodgeball?
Yeah.
That came out June 18th, I believe 2005. 2005 or 2004.
Just pulled that out of the top of your head.
It's just like a random thought. Like that one I used to remember. But yeah, it was June 18th. And then I looked back and I was like, yeah, it was June 18th. But yeah, I'm filled with useless movie knowledge too.
Yeah, like random bit of trivia for you as to why people hate Hugh Jackman as Wolverine when he was first casted. He stands 6'1". Wolverine in the comics is like 3'3".
Oh yeah.
Wolverine is like this tall in the comic books. Random piece of information that I have no use for ever in my life, but I have it. He also weighed close to 3,000 pounds because his skeleton is covered in adamantium.
More knowledge.
Yeah.
See, I like hearing stuff like that. To me, it's not useless, but to other people, it's like, why do you know that?
Yeah, exactly. It's like to anyone else, it's like, why would you know this? And I'm like, how would I not? Mm-hmm. I read it one time in an article about why people were angry about Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and it stuck with me ever since.
And now it's like, I think there's certain people who it's like, oh yeah, like I could only picture them being them, but like him and maybe Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man are two where it's like I cannot see somebody else portraying
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Well, I guess. Well, have you watched? Do you watch like the Justice League movies like those?
I have not seen the DC movies. I am way
Okay.
behind on DC. So like the last one I saw was Batman v Superman. Terrible
Okay.
choice of which one to watch. I saw Suicide Squad. Those are the
Okay.
last two DC movies. So I haven't seen like Wonder Woman. I've seen Aquaman, Justice League. I haven't seen any of those yet.
Okay, because I think you liked my tweet on it, but yesterday I just found out they wanted to make Justice League into like a 3-part movie
And
series.
Green Lantern was supposed to be the start.
Yeah, and like,
It's a terrible movie.
I don't know if you watch or do you listen to Kevin Smith?
Mm-mm.
So he, if you don't know, he directed a lot of movies like in the early 2000s. Like he did Clerks 1 and 2, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And he's super into comics, and he was saying how apparently he knew multiple people working on Justice League, and they all said, yeah, like it was supposed to be 3 movies. Justice League was supposed to be like part 1, but they changed some stuff. And well, you haven't seen anything. I want you to watch it and get your opinion on it first. But yeah, but it was supposed to be like a 3-part series. Green Lantern. I mean, from advertising stuff, Green Lantern's not in the movie.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be, and it sounded amazing.
Sounded a lot better than what you actually got.
Yeah. And then so apparently what happened was after Batman v Superman, people didn't like it. Like within the first week of the movie being out, Warner Brothers was like, hey, let's change some stuff. Yeah. And then they pretty much did what was made.
Yeah. Like I want the DC movies to be good. Yeah. I do. Like I'm more of a Marvel fan than I am a DC fan. But like I still want them to be good movies. Why is my little brother is on the roof right now and I have no idea why. I look over and I just see a shape walk past my window and I'm on the 2nd floor and I was like, wait, why are you there?
Oh man. But yeah, no, I'm the same way. Like I like DC. I like one of my favorite superheroes is the Flash. Yeah. And it's like I want them to be good, but
which iteration of the Flash? Barry Allen.
I've read more probably Barry Allen, so probably Barry Allen, yeah.
I like Wally, but yeah. Barry is the iconic Flash.
Yeah. But there's like I don't know. I watched the CW Flash.
And, that's a good show.
Yeah, and it's like they do good on certain things, and I love watching that. But it's like the movies, like I don't know, they gotta step their game up a little.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. DC's done a great job with their TV shows.
Yeah,
Arrow's been hit and miss. Arrow's had its good
seasons.
Yeah. Like the 2nd season, fantastic with Deathstroke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, where Wilson comes back. Like, oh, I love Deathstroke. I have a special place in my heart for him, and I love Manu Bennett. I think was the name of the actor. Yeah. I can't because I loved him in Spartacus. Oh, yeah. And so he has a special place in my heart. And so like I loved that season because he was the big bad. Like
when did you do you still watch Arrow?
I am probably 3 seasons behind at this point.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like The Walking Dead for me. I just kind of fell off. I spend so much time either here streaming or in the shop streaming that like I don't get to watch a whole lot of new stuff. I rewatch The Office 800 times, Parks and Rec and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, because you've watched them, so you could just kind of put them on in the background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like if I'm falling asleep, I'll turn The Office on and just fall asleep watching that.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't feel bad when you wake up the next day and it's still going.
Exactly. And you're like, what did I miss? Oh, yes. I know these 8 episodes because I've watched the show 8 times.
What was I going to say? Yeah, but Arrow's like that. Arrow's like they're on season 8, I think, right now.
7 or 8, yeah, somewhere in there.
But the season before the current one, that one was really good to me. Like, I really liked it. But the season before that, I didn't like. But they just have these off seasons. Like, I noticed the season where Flash was in season 1, that season of Arrow I thought was one of the worst, and I felt like they focused all their time focusing on
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what season that would have been. I think was that the League of Assassins season?
It had to
Because
be season
3 somewhere in
3.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the League of Assassins because the first season was Malcolm, second season was Deathstroke, and then it was League of Assassins, Damien Dark, and that's where I've stopped watching is the Damien Dark season, Brother Blood, and that whole.
Yeah. Dang, I can't believe there's been so many seasons because I can't even
I
think of the
know.
main villains in some of them.
It doesn't feel like it's been on that long. Like it doesn't feel like I've missed that much, but apparently I have.
Yeah, like there's a lot.
Yeah.
And
There was the Hive one season, but I think that was the Brother Blood season. If I'm
yeah, I think I remember they were hyping up the Hive, but it ended up not being like a big thing that they ended up like discussing.
Kind of like Iron Man 3 with oh my gosh, what was the villain's name in Iron Man 3? Mandarin. Yeah, that made me angry. That made me angry
because Mandarin's such a
he's a great villain. And then to switch it to Inferno there at the end, and I was like,
yeah,
Mandarin, bring him back.
Yeah, but
and to waste Ben Kingsley like that.
Yeah, and that's why I thought it was going to be something like great or something.
Yeah,
you didn't know how it was going to end. That was, I think, one of the worst like twists in a movie I could think of.
Yeah, one of the worst moments in easily one of the low points of Marvel movies right there.
Yeah. Well, it looks like we're about wrapping up on time. Thank you for this. Thank you for letting me get to know you a little bit more, and hopefully everybody watching gets to know you a little bit more and checks out.
Well, thank you for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then I want to do a podcast too, where maybe like an extra one on like a Friday or something. But I want to do one where I bring on past people. So like it'd be me and maybe you and Coast, or you and Firefox and Coast, or having whoever can make it type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, because one thing I've learned about doing these, we all enjoy the conversations, and I wanted to make this first, like this is, like I mentioned, this is Time for a Meetings episode, like your origin story, your people getting to know you.
Yeah.
But now that people know you, now we can more have fun and have conversations like we've had in the past, like 20 minutes, just relating to things we like.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you very much. Can you let people know where to follow you, where to check you out?
Twitch.tv/TimeForAMeeting. Twitter, Time for a Meeting without the G. Instagram is just Time for a Meeting as well. Those are my 3 main platforms that I use. Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me for knives and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much it, my man.
All right. Well, again, thanks very much, Time. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening. If you like this episode, give it a like, subscribe to the channel. If you know anybody who is a streamer, wants to be a part of it, let me know. And yeah, peace out, guys. Thank you very much for watching. This has been the Eat Sleep Stream podcast. Thank you very much.
Bye.